Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk Show on Orthodox Talks. Blessed and honoured to have with us Fr Abanob Atala. Fr Abanob runs Manna for Life charity program and thought we'd get him on to talk more about that. Thanks, Manna, for coming and joining us. Really appreciate it. Manna, wanted to sort of ask you a bit about your social work, your social counselling work, and how you got into it.
Okay. Actually, before priesthood, I studied statistics and science, and somehow, as soon as I came back as a priest, I got the interest to study some counseling studies, and I did that. And then I loved it so much, I've been doing it since. So it's a real eye-opener about people, about behavior, understanding the needs of people, understanding family, understanding the psychological matters that affects people, motivation, young people, children, families. So it's all very, very relevant and very practical in our. Also, I've taken on other studies in pastoral care about bringing Christ into the counselling, etc. So it's all been.
Yeah, I think as a priest, it's sort of like a prerequisite to have that kind of things. Like you sort of embrace it straight away, dealing with the congregation and everyone. Abuna, in your social counselling work, have you ever come across anyone who you've lost hope for? If so, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, that's a very, very difficult but very interesting question, because in the priesthood and in the service of people, you do come across some very, very difficult cases, situations. And sometimes, you get the feeling of, where is this going? Maybe there is hope, maybe there is no hope in this situation, maybe there is no hope in this person. But then, when you sit by yourself and, and you go into prayer and go into your den, you realize that it is God's work. Maybe we're planting the seed, maybe we're just living the word of God with this person. Maybe we're just giving them a warm heart or some hope, and then it's up to God to develop that. So it's important for the servant and for us as priests to remember that it is God's work. Yes, it is sometimes challenging. Sometimes you think, I don't see God's hand in this situation, or this person is really struggling and I'm really, really worried about them. But all we can do is turn that to prayer and God comes through.
Was there ever a case where you were praying for someone so much, and you were caring for them, and sort of God stepped in, or you felt like this? Wow, like I definitely see God's work here.
Yeah, I remember the very first few days of priesthood, or the first few months where I was in a church on my own, serving on my own here in Melbourne, and I remember a couple came to see me. And I spent time listening to the husband, spent some time listening to the wife, and it was quite a number of hours listening. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I don't even know where to start with these two people. They're just so different and they're so far apart. There's not even a common element. There's not even a string that you can pull together. And I remember very well, praying the next few liturgies and just putting their names on the altar and saying to God, I have no idea where even to start with these people. You listen to him, it's 4 hours. You listen to her, it's 5 hours. It's like you don't even know where to start. And sure enough, I put the names on the altar a few times, and I remember the husband stepped up in one of the liturgies and came up and said, Abuna, thank you very much. Don't worry about that appointment. Everything is okay. We've sorted it all out. And I said, okay, this is clearly God's work. So,
wow, that's amazing.
So prayer solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. With sort of Manna for Life, just tell us a bit about that and what that involves.
Okay. So that started about 3 years ago, where we were involved with another organization that runs meals for the disadvantaged people. And so we were first initially told to just come and see what they do. So we went there, and basically they run meals and programs for the homeless people. Every day there's meals, and there's different people that come in, or different groups that come in and offer these meals. And then there is also social programs and health programs, etc. So we're invited to come along because there was a bit of an opening. So this happened three years ago, and we loved it so much. We've been doing it since. We've kind of been doing it. We've taken on the dinner meal on a Thursday evening, and we have a group of volunteers that come, and we have a group of mothers that cook the meals every Thursday evening, and a group of people that go around and pick up this food, and then we set up the Manna for Life charity, and we have now a committee looking after it, and we have a van designated to running the homeless service. And like I said, we've been doing it ever since now for over 3 years. It allows young people to come in and serve and see, and offer these services, and also to appreciate what they have, and also gives a chance to those people. So we actually do outreach to these people who are homeless, and we'll also give them the Word of God for 5 to 7 minutes before every meal. And then also it gives people, some of our youth who are kind of a little bit distant from the church, they love this kind of service and they come along.
Yeah.
And a lot of people actually that, speaking of outreach, when they're having their meals or we do such a good job, thank God, and do it from our hearts, they say, which church are you from? Or some people have said, we want to come and listen more about your church and so on. We're not there to evangelize people, but people actually ask us, and they say that, thank God, we're doing a good job and we're doing things from our heart. So it kind of all started, like I said, 3 years ago, where we had this opening. We were told there was an opening, so we went along, and then it all kind of started falling into place. We had the van donated, we had the ladies help us with the meals, and we've even received we're a non-charitable organization now, a formal non-charitable organization, which takes a lot of tax work and a lot of administration. So thank God, God's blessed us with that as well. It kind of started with just us going along and saying, what can we do to help? And they said, well, there's an opening, and then things just happened.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing God's work and how
absolutely.
It works.
Absolutely.
Some people in Melbourne, because these are handed out in the city of Melbourne, that sometimes they're not going to the right person. What do you say about it? Because there's a lot of people who pretend like they're homeless or they're begging and things like that.
Yeah, I've heard that view a few times. There might be some people who are deserving or not deserving, but it's not up to us to judge that. So if someone asks me and they truly are in need, especially of a meal, they're asking for money, they're asking for a meal, then I give them that meal, whether they deserve it or not, whether they have social problems or not, or they're drugs, or they've got other psychological problems. It's not up to me. It's a commandment from God to reach out to people who are disadvantaged, and it gives us also an outreach and puts the church out there. So it's not up to me to judge. It's not up to anybody else to judge. We offer the service based on God's commandments, and we do it from our hearts, and that's what really counts.
Yeah, that's so true. Like you can't control it. Like if I think you do what you can, and then let God handle the rest. If people wanted to get involved with this service, where do they find out about it, or how can they get in contact with you, or how can they start being a part of it?
Yeah. So there's different aspects of this service. First of all, for the last 3 years, have been concentrating on these meals that we're offering on a weekly basis. So some people can go to the website, Manna for Life, and there's a few video clips there, and there's a few pictures of what we do. It's a bit hard to put pictures because these people don't like to be in pictures. Also, SBS came along actually 2 weeks ago, and they interviewed us, and they're actually doing a documentary on the homeless service, and we participated in that. So I think that's going to be aired soon, hopefully. And there was a person that was obviously very rich and very well known, trying to pretend to be a homeless person to see what it's like to be on the streets. And also we've had some people, to show you how difficult it is for these people, we've had some people actually not longer with us who were homeless because they either slept in the car or they slept on the park and they got killed or something happened to them. So these are, whether they're deserving or not deserving, just going back to the previous question, it's not up to us. But in terms of what we do, so you can go online and you can help us with donations. We have a group of people, mothers that cook the food. We have a group of youth that serve the food, and a group of people that actually go and socialize and talk to the people and see how we can listen to them and listen to their stories. So there's all those aspects of the service, and hopefully in the near future as well, we hope, actually they've expanded one branch in St. Mary's, near St. Mary's Church. There's a second branch of Manna that's starting now, and they're also looking at expanding it in Canberra and in Perth. So we hope that the service continues and grows.
That's awesome. Abanoub, where do you see Manna for Life in, say, 5 or 10 years' time?
Definitely expanding in all the different homeless services in Melbourne or out of Melbourne. There's lots of potential there. And His Grace Ambassadorial has been really supportive of the service and telling the churches that they should come along. But it is a serious service and requires people who are really serious, that really have the love of God inside their heart to want to do this service. So we hope that this service would extend in a lot of suburbs and a lot of churches in Melbourne and even interstate. And we're hoping also there's another area of this service that we'd like to do some work with the youth of Melbourne, and try and work with the streets and the needs that are out there. There's a lot of needs on the streets, and we're hoping to meet some of these needs as we grow and develop professionally as well. That's
awesome. Thank you again, Manna, for joining us. Thank you for telling us so much about Manna for Life. As always, go to the website, mannorforlife.com, and the link would be in our description. And yeah, thanks so much, Manna, for coming and joining us.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can you hear us? That's not a good response. Can you hear us?
Good afternoon. Is it good afternoon or just like...